some of the things. Okay, you're gonna see that I just sort of made this one up based on the structural tutorial that we had before. So this one right here has some structure. Okay, now I did put like an arch and a few windows. In your case, it's gonna be different. It's the same steps. So what did I say graphically? I'm gonna talk about graphics a little. You guys make sure that no excuses that we didn't talk about them. So I'm here, okay? This scale right now, right, is basically 1/8, right? So it's kind of big. Most likely your scale for your final is gonna be on the 1:30, 1:40, because of the size of your project, okay? So if I just change it to 1:20, notice those bubbles, right, get really big. Why did you think the bubbles are big? What's happened? What's that?
The type is in the wrong.
The type? The bubbles don't have the type. What do you think is happening? The image is getting smaller. The bubbles stay the same size. All right. So the building scale changed, but the scale of the bubble doesn't. So, and that's done on purpose. So you don't have bubbles that are bigger, smaller, all over your project. So annotation, it stays the same way. So it could be consistent. It doesn't matter what the scale of your project is. So for example, notice over here, you see, this kind of stuff should bother you. Okay? I mean, I cannot work if stuff like this are happening. Okay? So this one right here has that. So the least I can do is to move it away from the building, right? So my text is not there, and even my dimensions here, I will move out. Okay, making sure that, I mean, if I leave it, this is how I will leave it, assuming that I still want it. Let's say the text is not necessary because I can see it. We want to see the levels, guys. Okay, because we're making decisions. Not final yet. So, but let's say I don't want to see that. I would just turn that off right here, and I just keep the lines and all the names, and I can start cleaning it up. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. The bubble, again, a lot of you guys said, oh yeah, they were too big. I don't know. Well, you didn't ask. Okay, if it really bothers you, you should have asked someone. So, but if you just went in here, okay, into my edit type, and I go in here and it says symbols and bubbles, I can notice right here, grid head, I can just get and say none. And I keep my grid, no heads. Okay? So it doesn't take a lot. So that's what I'm saying. There's no excuses. So if they're there and they bother you, ask someone or just have a few clicks away and you'll find what that is. Now graphic standards over here, notice if I zoom in, there's a brick, right? I can see the pattern. If I'm out, I don't. Right? It gets to a certain point that it disappears because the lines are so close. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. Now when you print, don't print because you can do quite well with the printing. All right. So now let's talk about these windows. Okay. I can go and let me just get a little fancy here. Let me go to my graphics, right? And let's go ahead and put, I can turn on my shadows. I can do a background. Let's do the background simple for now. Gradient, and I hit apply. And notice right away, I'm starting to get some depth. I didn't have to spend a lot of time. It's just a few clicks away. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. All right, so let's start working on this. So first thing, we want to put sections right through some of these spaces. Do you notice that the sections disappear? It shows up in plan. Yeah. Why is that? It has to do with the scale, right? So it disappears here. Notice I put it back to 1/8. It shows up. Yes, but it doesn't matter because the size of the thing is not going to change. So the moment you go to like a really small scale, like if I go to 1 to 10, for example, let's try that one. 1 to 10. You see, that one will disappear because I did it. But anyway, you got to check. You got to check if they actually, they look too big. And if they look too big, talk to us, all right? And how to make a change. But for now, just leave it like that. Okay, let me talk about the wall section in this course in business that, Dean was talking about. So if I'm here, I have selected my brick wall, right? And I do have, metal stud, kind of similar to what most of you guys will have if it's a steel building. Now, the one thing, however, here is that, I don't have my architectural levels, but I'm not going to talk about those. I'll talk about those later. But imagine I had an architectural level that was, 4 inches higher than this. Okay? So if I measure this and I go to the to the bottom of the window, from this level is 3 feet. So what happens if I have 4 inches? Right, it'll be 2.8, right? It'll get smaller. Now you have to make a choice if that's too low, or, whatever. But I'm gonna come here. I'm not able to see my coursing. I just see that this is brick, but I can't do it. So you wanna go to the annotate tab. All right. I wanna go into my detail components right here, and there's this one right here called repeating detail. All right. So I'm gonna click on this one, and there's not a lot of them, but one of them is brick. And what that allows me to do is I can go here at the bottom, okay, where your brick is gonna start, and I can just kind of draw and go all the way up. All right. Yeah. So notice over here, that just gave me my coursing guide. Okay. That doesn't mean I cannot change it. I may have to have a stone or something like that. Professor Ackerman made a comment that he didn't mention, but I'll mention it now. If you want at least an elevation, keep coursing, do in 8 inches increments, right? Because it would always fit within 3 bricks. So that's one rule of thumb that you can use as you were designing. But for example, I'm here on my window. I'm assuming that this line right here would be the top of my seal, right? I'm assuming here because I don't have the seal yet, the stone seal that I'm going to have outside. So if I know my seal, let's say I'll do a detail line, and I know my seal is going to be, let's say, like 4 inches? Okay? So I'll copy this 4 inches down. All right? That gives me the location of the actual bottom of the seal. That's what I'm talking about coursing. If I don't make this coursing, right, the right location, that means every single time I go to these windows, I gotta cut this brick horizontally, which is unheard of. You don't want to do that, okay? Because throughout the whole building, that's a lot of time, and you're wasting material as well, and money, labor and all that stuff. So what you want to do now is to move things around. So in this case, I can do 2 things. I can either move my windows up, because I know I'm already losing 4 inches, right? I didn't think about that. So look, I select my windows here, and by the way, look at this. When I go to the south elevation, let me put both of them up. All right. Notice what happens. You guys should be grouping this thing. So you see, I grouped this guy, right? Because that's what that is. So because I grouped that guy, right? Notice when I select this, I'm selecting that group, right? I'm going to select these lines right here, the 2 that I drew, and I'm just going to move it, MV, and I'm going to say I want this to be at the top of this. And if I'm going to have some mortar, I'll move it a little higher, right, to have the mortar for that seal. So I can go and literally stop it there. So I made my window seal right now to be what? On the course, right? On the coursing of that brick. So now when I go outside, right, I can zoom in and look at what happened. This is related to the question, Aaron was asking, right? I fix it here, but I didn't know that was not coursing, right? So what do? I know I have 4 inches below this, okay, which I don't have to worry about it now. But if I did, I can go and draw, let's say, another detail line. I'll just do this detail line really quick. I'm fixing it now, but you could fix this anytime, actually. But I'll make it easy. If I want to align this, I can align that, okay? In this case, I'll do it to the bottom of this. And you see, I just align my entire texture. So if I make this realistic, for example, I go here. You see how it aligns? So when I move so I'll go back. Right here, let me turn on the texture here. Okay, realistic. Notice It's not on coursing right there, right? So I will use my seal. I'm using the window right now, but I can align this to whatever I want, and that automatically did my texture. Okay, so for brick, you don't have to worry about it. Now look at this up here. What's happening here? What will you do? The window itself? You see this window, yeah, so this is not a good example because of the window type. But you see, we'll have a window that fits within coursing. Alright, so if it was like it should. So once I do that, right, then if I had a lintel, if I had like a stone lintel or something, we would go what? Like Professor Ackerman said, I would go 8 inches. You know, so I know it will use 3 bricks, you know, above that. So when I'm designing the lintel, I make it 8 inches on purpose, high. Now, if I did solder course, how tall is that? 8 inches, because it's the, you know, the brick. So you see how these modular dimensions start coming up. All right. So now in here, I can go to my entire elevation and my windows and start creating things to course. All right, to make sure. So I can go here, for example, and I can copy this guy and say Ctrl and paste, align this to my 3rd level. All right, and I'm gonna push that up to my 3rd level. And this, you know, because I haven't changed the coursing, should fall. Then no, that lintel should be, you know, what they're supposed to. Okay, so now what happens if I want to have a stone band? Okay, so let's do that. So I'm gonna do this because some of you guys are gonna have this scenario. All right, so let me do consistent here. Like for example, this is another good example. I don't like this color for the consistent. You know, it looks too dark. You know, at least for what I have. So I'm not trying to represent the actual color of the brick because, you know, I'm not for that. I'll just do my realistic. You know, but if I wanted to do this again, I would here and try to change the pattern of this thing. So if I go to my wall, edit type, right, go to the structure and let's go to that material, the brick. I can go in here and say, that's a little too dark for what I wanted. You know, I wanted to have a little lighter. Not because the brick is lighter, my graphics, I want it to be lighter. So I go in here, move it to be lighter, okay, just so it has a good tone. Hit OK, and OK. And then once I get out of here, after all those OKs, right, I get a really nice toned down red, right, more like pink now. But anyway, you see what I'm talking about? Like make it work right away. Another thing, okay, so that's really good. Now let's talk about that band. So let's create a profile, okay, that allows me to create my band, like coursing. So this is where sketching comes handy, okay? So I'll do something here just for the sake of it. I can come in here, let's say my band is going to be right at the between level 1 and level 2. Some of you guys, we talk about having it by the window or whatever. So let me go, I'll do it here, and the computer is going to look really bad because it doesn't go straight. But anyway, I'm gonna go in here, let me zoom in some more. So that's the level, and let's say I want to have my coordinates here or some sort of band. So you would come, and that's where it comes handy to sketch something. So I would print this section right here, all right? Now that I know it's coursing, and I would just print out right here a little bubble of this. So once I print it out, I would come and sketch it, all right? And I would say, okay, you know, I know I want, even though the level is here, I don't want to do it right in there. So I'm going to start, let's say, I'm going to draw something here. And then I'm going to come down. I'm going to go 2 bricks down. And then I'm going to come in, right? And then I'm going to maybe have a little curve here. And then I'm going to come down. And then I go to the coursing. And I want it to have a little taller. So I'll stop right here. You see, the only way for you to know if what you're designing is coursing is by going into here and measuring those things and aligning them with your brick. Notice what I did as well. I put it inside my wall, because if this is a stone, I'm replacing brick for stone. Okay, so right now I go right away and check it out. So I can come right here, and in your sketch you'll find out, okay, what is that distance. So assuming, right, that's 12 inches, assuming whatever that is, I can come in here and measure it, right? I can now go and draw in Revit my actual profile. So, yes.
I put a number up on the board. One coursing is 2 and 171. That's a number I have to memorize all the time. And so if you do 2 coursing, it'd be twice as that, and 3 was that.
And then from there you have a 3/8, grout joint. That
on the front you have 1 line, it's not double lines. So.
No, I know, but it's done. But it's the full 4 inches. So yeah. So in elevation, you're not gonna have double lines, and it will look like too dark. And that's why they simplify here. And here you do get the double line. But for example, if I go in here, so you can use the dimension Professor Ackerman, but right now I'm going by the graphics, right? So I can come in here, I'll delete this for now, and I will go into my family really quick. So I'm showing you, you're gonna do this for bands, I can do this for my cornices, I can do this for many things. I'm gonna go and say new, and I'm gonna say new family, okay? Now, I want to create a profile family. So I'll just click here and type P, and it takes me to a profile family. Notice that profile family has profile by itself, profile hosted, mullion, and so on. Now, which one will you use? Yeah, profile hosted, because it's going to be on a wall. All right? Now, the profile itself is not hosted on the wall. The profile is just lines. It's not a 3D element. But let me show you what the template does. So if I open this, what the template does, it gives me like a section. Okay? That's my section. Alright? And so when I look at this section, notice this line right here, this reference, is called host face. So that would be the face of my wall, the brick right here. Okay? So that's what this is. So if I imagine right now it's backwards, right? Let me switch the. You probably understand it, but I don't want you to get confused here. But if I flip my section so it looks like the same way, all right, right there. Now let me go back to that. That's good. So now I'm facing the right way. So I'm facing. That's the face. That's the face. Notice the host. That's the wall itself. Okay. So that's the same section. All right, so let me move this to the outside, or not. All right, so I'll move this here since I had it there. Okay, so now I just need to imagine, based on the sketch that you did, that you measured to whatever, so I'm going to make it 16 inches for whatever's sake right now. I don't have time to really go measure everything. So there's a few things I can do. I imagine this is a section that's projecting outside of my wall. So I'm going to go ahead and do a few lines here. So let me click here, and I'm going to go, and I can start drawing this, all right? I'm going to click line, right? And and that line, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to project out, let's say 2 inches in this case, because it's stone, right? I'm going to attach that to the back. I'll go 2 inches. I want to go down, 4 inches. I'm just guessing right now because I'm not using the dimensions from the brick, all right? Then let's say I want to come in here. And then I'm going to change a little bit of my angle here. So I get like something like that. And then I continue going straight down until, I find the right, spacing. Now, I want to go into the wall, okay? Because I need to, set this stone on the brick itself, all right? So I don't want you to stuff stuff right here. Just put them on the face. We need to build these things the way they're constructed. If not, I need to go back and do a lot of detail and fixing, which we don't want. No need. All right? So I'm going to be here, and just for the sake of time, I'll make it 4 inches deep. All right? And then I'll draw that line. Notice that's 4 inches right there. Enter. And then I go up. Oh, man, that's really thick. All right? So let me go. Did I do 4 inches? Yeah, that's good. All right, so there you go. Yeah, it's 4 inches. So let me see what the thickness here we have. Yeah, let me just. Come on. All right, so I will measure here 3 5/8, like Professor Ackerman mentioned here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that so that way it doesn't stick out. So 30358. All right, so that's that. And then I can make a judgment. Maybe it's too small. What did I say I wanted this to be? 16 inches, right? More or less. So I'll make it 16 inches. So that's what that is. Now, let's say I do want to have a little more detail here. Let me go back here because it looks a little boring. So I'll go in here and let's say I want to go in a little here, you know, like a quarter because I want to like put some stuff in there if I wanted to go out. A split right here and trim it over here. All right, you can trim this out. Now, depending how much this is sticking now, you may have to have a drip edge, right, because of the water. So you don't want it to be standing. So let's say I do have enough to put a drip edge. I go as far as doing that because I only have to do it once. Okay, so I'm gonna be in here. I'll do another line and I'll just, for now, just make up a drip edge. Okay, like right here, and I'll split that and then I'll trim it. Okay, pretty cool. All right, I can move this text if it's in the way. I just, you know, whatever. All right, that makes sense. That doesn't make it pretty. I'm making it up. I didn't mention anything. All right, but that gives you the idea. All right, so once that is done, I will save it. All right, one important thing here before I forget. This needs to be a closed loop. There cannot be breaks, okay? If not, it's going to give you an error when you load it into Revit. All right, so one way to check that is you put your mouse over something, you hover over and use tab. And if it goes around the whole thing, the profile is connected. Now, sometimes you click twice on the line, you may have overlapping lines. That's also going to give you an error, okay? So make sure that you keep track of those things. Now, if this was really deep, what would I need to do up here at the top? Have a little slope, right? So that's a little detail that if I don't do it here, I have to do it somewhere else. But since I'm here, so that's where the construction comes handy, okay? So, because you start thinking about all those things. So I'm going to go here, go down a little bit. People are not going to be able to see it, but the water is right there. So I'll trim this now. And this one, I'll get rid of it because I don't need it. So notice by me drawing this, if I had a sketch, I can predict some of these things, but I'm here. I'm doing it at the same time. All right, so let me save this. Okay, I'll go ahead and call it, you know, I can say it as stone band, and you may have many stone bands, so I can have this one, right? And then I'll save this. Now that it's saved, I'm going to load it into my project. All right, so I'll load it into the project. Now that I'm here, let me go to 3D. All right, so what I did, I created a profile, right? So let me go to this 3D. Oh, I can be in the elevation, actually, would be nice. Right here. And I'm that band. So what do? I go to architecture, go to walls, pull down, and this is a sweep. I want to create a sweep, okay? So I'll create a sweep. When I do that sweep, I'm going to go here. This says cornice. I don't want to do a cornice. I want a stone band. So I'm going to edit, and I'm going to duplicate. I could rename it if I wanted to, but I know I'm going to use a cornice, so I'm not going to get rid of that one. Duplicate, and a stone. I usually name this one the same way I named the profile, so I remember. A stone band, and this one I can, you know, and one. Right? That's what I had. Hit OK. And then notice over here, profile. Right? I get that option. I can go and pick my profile. So let's look. There's my stone band number 1. Once I click on that, now I can put a stone material. Do I have to do it now? No. But like I said, if you know it's going to be a stone, make it a stone. Why wait? Right? So go ahead and find something that does that. So I don't know if there's any here that has a stone. Travertine. I don't know if I love it because this is a travertine. Yeah, so you see it's not here. You can open the library and find it, right? But for now, just put color, okay? So I'll just put red. Okay, I'll do oak flooring. Okay, it's not oak flooring, but you know I can use that color. All right, so I hit OK. Hit OK. And now, when I hover this, notice it's right where it's supposed to, right? I'm going to click on it and hit escape, and that's going to stay there. Now, I'm going to go to my section because that's where it matters, right? Now, you can use this in elevation and play where you want it. But again, I already fixed my windows. In my section, I can see the coursing, right? So I'm going to go here, and there is my band. Look, beautiful. Ready to be, I don't have to detail it. It's part of my 3D objects. And so right in here, I can go and say, all right, let me do the bottom to something, or maybe, I don't know where I wanted it to have it before, but I can go back, right? And in reality, I could even put this on top of it, right here. So I can start blocking you see, 2D goes over 3D objects, okay? So notice over here, I'm at a 16, right? So I could leave it right there, and I can see I need to go do it a little smaller, right? But right in there, that is at coursing, okay? If I do it now, notice over here what's happening. It's overlapping because I haven't it for that. All right. So notice. Let me go real.
You should have lined the brick to the bottom, but then you moved it up.
Yeah. But let me do right here. All right. So what's happening? Right. So that's aligned to that one. Right. That means my window. So notice over here, there's something that's not functioning. Right. But don't worry. This is what I want you to know. Don't worry about the texture. Okay. Because what matters right now is for this one to be working. All right. This is the one that I want to work. So I'm going to align it right here, let's say. And then, and that way I can utilize it. That's the one that I want to use because I can go and change my appearance anytime. All right. So that's how I do this. Okay. If I needed to continue this around, what do? You select this guy, the one that you already have, and I can say add and remove walls. If I hit add walls, I can click on that wall and it adds that wall, and I can go around my building until I don't need it anymore. I think I talked a little bit about this before. But anyway, there you go. Okay? So that's more or less of what we're looking for as we develop, right, our details. Okay? So this is as far as I will go for now to and the doors where they're supposed to. All right? Now, in this door here, what I did is I put it up right there. I can zoom in. Oh, shoot. I would need to cut that up, and sometimes you have to, right? But in this case, let's say if I can avoid that could be like a stone or something. I would just go into my storefront here on my curtain wall, edit that, right? And I can go in here and move it down, right, to right there. So it's right in line with that joint. All right. So if I do that, hit OK. Now the top of my arch is right on coursing. I can put a stone, and I'm gonna have to cut this guys here. At least I don't have to worry about how that top one is gonna end. All right. So that's it. And I don't think any question. So that's pretty much what we want to be doing. Right. What about if you have a pilaster? Anybody has pilasters? At least one of you have to, right? So how do I deal with pilasters? There's two ways. One is I create a family that creates a pilaster. Another way is I create the wall itself. So if I did that, it gets tricky because there's a lot of them, but I will group them. So that way, when you copy the pilaster, it behaves like a family, right? I can keep designing. But let's say I'll do one pilaster that is a family, okay? And so let's say you do have a storefront and it's wood. You want a wood pilaster, right? To be able to attach it to the wall, so it's not structural, right? I'll do one really quick over here, and I'll let you work. All right. So what do? I go to the plan. I look at my detail here. I need to know what's happening. So I would sketch something. So you would bring up your paper and sketch something, right? So I can say, all right, you probably already have stuff because you've been drawing them. And I said, I want something that's going to be right there. I know I know this. So I'm basically telling you that the information that if you ask Professor Ackerman or myself to go help you with something, you should at least have this. Okay? So I can go in here and I say, I'm imagining this to be, whatever this distance is. So this is the basic information we would like to know. Okay? Now I can go as far as, you know what, I want something that is a little thicker at the bottom on the base, right? And I can sketch that in there. Let's say I want something like that. And so I'm cutting through this right here, but not on the other stuff, right? So that's in plan. So once I have this, then I can go and be in my elevation and say, okay, that's going to be right over here, right? It's going to come up like that. That's my base. I actually want to have another piece at the top right here. And by the way, I would like to have a light right there. Okay? So that kind of stuff. You should have sketches. And that's why we make you do this elevation. So you can think about those things. All right. So let me do that really quick. Assuming you have the sketch, assuming you know what you want, we'll go from here. So I'm going to create a family. Okay? And I'm going to make you one that it has parameters so I can continue designing. Make it wider, deeper, and so on. Okay? So, and that way you are able to create other families if you need to. So I'm going to do a family. Now, this family, I'm going to make it generic for now. Okay? I could go and find something else, but for now, I'll just do it generic. All right? Now, why do I make it generic? I can make it generic. It could be floating. I can move it somewhere else. I can also make it hosted, that it only goes on the walls, and that's it. And usually the one I like to do is phase base. Okay, so I can put it in any phase. I can put it on a bolt if I wanted to. Okay, but for now, let me just do generic. All right, so if I do generic, let me open this. And then, you open this family now. So let me go ahead and this is, I imagine, the center. Okay, so the first thing we do, we create reference planes that would allow me to know exactly the dimension of this thing. So remember the sketch I drew? That's my pilaster. All right, I can go there now, dimension to the center of this, make it equal. So that way, and then I can go here to the back, and that would be my width. Okay, so let me select that width. I'm going to go right over here. Let me go here and add a parameter. And this width, I'm going to call it width. All right. I'm going to go here. I'll leave it type. That means I can change it all at once. Hit OK. We just put a parameter. Now let me test it out. I go into my properties here. Let me make it, let's say it's going to be 16 inches. Apply. It moves. Perfect. That moved. Let's control the depth. All right. I'll control the depth. Select that dimension. Add a parameter. And let's call it depth. All right. Hit OK. That depth is selected. Let's test it or flex it. And I'm going to make this 4 inches. Apply. Works. Okay. So that's that. So now that, then I need to decide, can I do an extrusion? Can I do something that I just push up? Okay, so let's start with something simple. So I'm going to go to the elevation this time. All right, let's actually start here. Let's create. I'm going to use an extrusion. Right, and that extrusion, what I like to do is I can pick lines if I wanted to. I can do rectangle right away. I'll pick lines and I'll lock it for now. Right, I want those lines to stay locked to this reference. So I just create this, click the 4 references, trim those lines really quick here. And once those are trimmed, I can finish this up, go to the elevation, and I'm going to be able to see, the extrusion. All right, so that would be my pilaster. Now I need to control the height, right? So let's go ahead and do the height. So I'm going to do a reference plane. I'm going to put it here somewhere. Dimension from the bottom to the top of that reference, and then let's put a parameter and let's call it height. All right, so hit OK, test the parameter, See if it works. Always do this first so you don't have to worry about it later. 6 feet. That works. I'll leave it like that for now. And now I can align this to that and lock it. So if I move this, it should move my my pilaster. Perfect. All right. So if I go to 3D, looks like this. Nothing exciting, right? But I can go now. Before I leave, let's go ahead and put a material parameter. If I load this into Revit, Revit doesn't know what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on that. And on the properties, there is my material. I'm not going to create the material here. I'm just going to apply a parameter, which is this little guy here. So I'm going to do this. I'll create new, and I'll just call it material. Hit OK. Hit OK. And then, let's say I want to put it on my model, just to see proportions and things like that. I'm going to load this. All right. I'm going to put it on my, elevations is the name of my file. All right. And then I'm going to go to the plan, and I'm going to put it right where I want it to. I think I wanted it here. There it is. All right. I just created that. It's attached to, I just put it right on it. Notice that this one I can move around, okay? Because I didn't make it hosted, okay? So that's a decision you're going to make. So I can make it in a way hosted if I align it and lock it. So for example, if I align this to the face of this and lock it, now it's host. I cannot move it, right? I cannot move it out, all right? So once I do that, I can go in here and it's like, oh man, I think it needs to be a little wider than that. I want to do, 20 inches or 24. I can go now here, right, and make it the width 2 feet. Okay, hit OK. All right, now, okay, that's better, or something like that. And now my height, let's say if it was going to go all the way up to the bottom of this band, all right, that's about 13.9 or so and a quarter. I can go there and make it 13.9 and a quarter. Okay, so the height, 13.9 and a quarter. All right, hit OK. It goes right there. And now from here, right, I can copy this, and let's say, or if it's on the other side, I could mirror this so it stays on the same location. I'll do it in the middle of that, right? That's in there. And now I could go as far as selecting these 3 guys and making them a group if I needed to, right? And I'll make it a group. Why? Because I'm going to reuse it, and I'm going to copy the group now from here to here, and then I get those 2. And I'm designing my facade as I go. All right? Now, if I needed to add detail here for the base, right, let me just show you one more tool here, and I think you'll get the point from then on. I can go into my family now. Let me go to here, and let me show you the sweep. Let's say I want some fancy molding, okay? So I'm going to do some sweeps. And what the sweep does is it follows a line or a path. So I'm going to do that one. So I'm going to do the base, a fancy base, all right? And I'm going to do a sweep, and there it is, sweep, all right? When I do this asks me for a path. So I can pick a path, or I can sketch the path, all right? If I pick a path, let me try pick a path. I'm going to pick on the, it doesn't let me because it's asking me for 3D, right? I can do it here if I went on the 3D, but let me go back here. I'll do sketch path really quick, and I'm going to click on my references because that's what I usually like to do. Let me lock it here, right? And now I'll lock it here. Oops, wrong one, right? And I'll delete this one because I just want this to go from here to here, okay? Now, when I trim this, Notice this guy over here is moving. Okay? I'm going to move this. I don't want to go into the wall. So I'll just move it back here. So that's basically representing my pilaster. So this guy right here is the profile. That's the shape that this base is going to get. So to finish my path, I can select that profile and I can say edit profile. All right. When I edit this profile, I'm going to do it from the front elevation because I'm able to look this way and create the profile that I want. So if I do that, I go in here and I just start drawing stuff, okay? So I can go and say, okay, on top of this, I'm going to come out, how thick is the wood? Now we start thinking on the wood. So finished wood, what's usually the thickness? Like a 1 by something. What would be the thickness? 3/4, exactly. So I would draw it at 3/4. Or if it's two of them, or if it, then start using this modular dimensions. So I will go and let's make it a little thicker. So I'll go 1.5 inches because it's a base. So I'm assuming I'll put two of them or something like that. 1.5 inches, right? And then I want to go up. Let's say I want to go up a foot, right? And then let's say I want to go in 3/4 of an inch because I'm using those. Oops, wrong one. I'm using those guys. And then in here, I just want to do like a 1/2 inch or something, some shadow. Then I go back. I'll go another, let's say another 2 inches or so, all right, of the wood. And now let's go back in here, okay? I'm keeping it square, but I can make it whatever I want. And this is going to be in top, right on it, right? So I'm going to keep it on the outside. Same thing, this needs to be loop, so check it out. Use tab and see if it goes around it. Looks like it's good. Finish it up. Finish the whole thing. And now if I go to 3D, there is my bend. Yeah, so I haven't material yet. Yeah, so I got the form. Okay, now that form is done, I can go as far as like, I want to add a little detail of wood over here. You see? I will go back, edit my sweep, select the profile, and then I can go to my front elevation, and I said, I want this little piece of wood right here that I saw in Europe, right? And I want it to go like right there. All right, I'll trim this guy. So you can be creative, right? Finish, go to 3D, and there's my little piece of wood, okay? All right, so once I do that, let's put material, select that piece. Again, I can go to my properties here. I find the assigned that, and if I wanted to use the same column material, that I did for my pilaster, let's say it's gonna be painted white because it's wood, I can just do this and use the same material. All right, so when I paint my pilaster, this gets. But let's say you're fancy and you want to have different thing, I would just add a new material. Right? And I would say base material. Be specific. All right? So, beautiful. Let's go back to my elevations here. And override existing because I already have one. And that should put up my base. I didn't make it parametric. I can even make that piece parametric. So I can change the height and all that stuff. So, but at least starting on, I can do it in one because I just got to change one and everything else changes. Yeah, but the width and because I locked the width of the depth to the pilaster, remember? I fitted that? Good. Thank you for the reminder. So I'm going to go in here, all right, and I'm going to click on this guy and let's say, I changed my mind. It's not 2 feet. I'm going to do 20 inches. All right, I can go to edit, click on my 20 inches here now. And that profile here should move with it. There it is, 20 inches. I don't have to worry about it. I can make it as little as 4 inches. Okay? Apply. Tiny. Okay? And it's moving with it because I locked the path to the face of this. Alright? So let's keep it 20 inches. Hit OK. Goes back to normal. And go like this. So I can continue. Let's say I ran out of time because I need to work on something else, or I got tired of working on this detail. I can just leave alone, go and do my other stuff. I got some free time, or you meet up with me or something, and we discuss this, and then I can come back and start adding like different reveals and things into this. Let's say I wanted to have a little in-depth here, like go in 3/4 of an inch. I can go and do that, and that column would continue to multiply and utilize that. So the nice thing about this, I can click here, edit my material because we apply that thing right here, base. Notice 2 different materials. Now I can click here and apply, my old flooring that I keep using, right? And I'll do that. So that way we get color, but you will use something more exciting. All right. But there it is. That's my column. My pilaster. Let me go here. I can see it. I can put realistic now on this view. And I get to see my wood flooring on my pilaster. Okay. So any questions? We're good? Pretty straightforward? All right. You can watch this thing a couple times. But more than you taking the time right now to keep developing all the details, what I want you to do is work on these sketches really quick and decide, based on your elevation. And then Professor Ackerman and myself, you can try it on your own, right? When you're doing this on your own free time. But if you're in class and you needed to get it done fast and you want to really, you ask us and we'll help you. Enough to make it really quick and easy. All right, I'm explaining you this, so it took a long time, but that thing doesn't take more than like 5 minutes or 10 minutes the most. If I want to detail it really nice, okay? So use your time wisely, okay? Here, what I care about is the right location of the pilaster, the right width and depth, so we can understand the overall. The detailing, I can come back and detail as needed, okay? But if you show me a sketch, I see that you're thinking about the right dimension. I'm not worried because we can tackle that anytime. All right? Okay, so I'll stop here and then we'll move on.